Hi, I'm Erica.
Hi, I'm Emma.
Hi, I'm Lauren.
Hi, I'm Kira.
Welcome to our webinar series on doing sport differently to restore confidence in grassroots sport. These webinars have been developed in collaboration with Vicsport and VicHealth and the Centre for Sport and Social Impact at Trobe University. Trobe University proudly acknowledges the traditional custodians of the lands where our campuses are located in Victoria. We pay our respects to Indigenous elders past and present, and we recognise that Indigenous Australians have an ongoing connection to the land. We are going to start this webinar by telling you a little bit about us, how we came up with these principles, and why we have chosen confidence as the overarching theme. From there, we will spend 10 minutes focusing on one of the principles in more depth and how it could apply to you when you were thinking about how people participate in sport at your club. These principles initially relate to those who are participating in sport activities. However, they can be used just as easily when thinking about volunteers or social members. So who are we? The Centre for Sport and Social Impact is a research centre at La Trobe University. Over the past 10 years, we have worked with a diverse range of partners and collaborated with VicHealth and Sport Australia to take a much closer look at why people are dropping out of sport, why others don't start, and how a lot of traditional sport participants are now looking for more flexible and social options. We wanted to support the sport industry to adapt to all of these changes, and so based on our 10 years of research, we've come up with 6 starting principles that could guide thinking to design and deliver sport in a way that engages a larger and more diverse audience. These 6 doing sport differently principles sit at the very core of what we do, seeking to instigate change in order to get more people more active more often.
The first principle is about thinking who it is you want to attract to your sport, finding out why they would want to play your sport, and then finding out what is currently stopping them. The best way we think to find out this information is simply to ask them. The second principle is to make sure that you are considering the whole participant experience, not just the sport activity itself. By and large, the thing that keeps most people playing sport or makes them stop is the social connection, who they're playing with, and if they feel welcome or not.
The third principle is about ensuring the activities you develop are suitable for different types of people, not just the skilled and fit ones, by making sure everybody has an entry point into your sport. The fourth principle is my favourite, and I think the most important, and that is that the deliverer is the most important person to a participant's experience, and whether or not they stick around. You can design the best experience in the world, but ultimately your deliverer decides what happens on the day and really impacts on whether people enjoy themselves or not.
The fifth principle is to ensure there are options for people to participate in your sport in different ways. This means as they finish a program or as their interests or skills change, they have a pathway to do something else and stay connected. The final principle is around sustainability and considering how to best manage your sport so it can continue for years to come.
So why is confidence so important? Hi, my name is Paul, and in my time as a sport and exercise psychologist for over 15 years, I've learned that confidence essentially drives our behaviour. It's often the first thing I will work on with people, and you might ask why. Well, it determines how much effort we put into activities. Confidence determines whether we persist in the face of obstacles. Confidence determines whether we're willing to try something new. Confident people will give things a go. And confidence even underpins motivation. People tend not to be motivated about things unless they think they can do it. And confidence is one of the best predictors of whether we stick to behaviour, particularly physical activity and sport.
Let's talk about principle 2. Think about participants as customers and consider their total experience. Using the word customer may sound a little bit out of place, but when we're trying to deliver sport differently to engage more people and more diverse groups of people and build confidence, we need to shift from the traditional build it and they will come approach to thinking more deeply about who it is that we want to engage, what their needs and wants are, and how we can welcome them into our club. A lot of time is focused on developing and delivering the sport or the activity itself, and we're going to talk more about that in webinar 3. But what we encourage you to do with this principle is to consider the total club experience. And what we know for sure is that people will be more likely to come and go, not based on the sport, but based on the social environment of the club. Think about it. If I asked people at your club why they decided to join and why they decided to stay, what would they say? More than likely, they will start telling me about the great people at the club, how they felt welcome, how they felt supported, and how they felt like they belonged. If you walk away from anything else from today about delivering sport differently and building confidence, it is this: always prioritise the social. Think about the way that people feel at your club. This is what is really important to them. When looking at the total experience at your club, it is important to be empathetic. This principle asks you to take another look from the perspective of those people in your community that aren't coming into your club and ask, what would they know about the club? Would they know that it exists? Do we reach these people? And if we do, what do they think of the club? Would they see that there are opportunities for them to play? Would they know who to contact? Would they be able to get the information that they need? And would they see it as a welcoming place? You can ask similar questions from the perspective of those that are returning to your club now. Do they have the information that they need? Do they know where to go for help? And are we keeping people connected? Are they really feeling confident enough to return? This process is more effective if you can engage members or people from the community and ask them for feedback about what they think of the club and their experience there, and if they have any ideas for improvement or new ideas about opportunities. It may be that people are looking for something more social or informal types of sport to return to or engage with. Your club could consider those opportunities. Soccer Mums is a great example of an informal program. These are mums of junior soccer players who wanted to connect better with their kids and their sport, but didn't want the pressure of being in a competition because they were not confident enough to play. The Soccer Mums program has gotten hundreds of women off the sidelines and onto the pitch, teaching them the basics they needed to know to be able to play with their kids. The added bonus is that this has given these mums the confidence in the sport, and now they are coaching and managing their kids' teams.
So I'm a single mum, I've got a 7-year-old boy, and we're very, very busy. The weeks go, go, go. So that's one of my major barriers to actually get out and get active, is finding that time and somewhere where I can go that's a supportive environment for a mum. So my Soccer Mums journey started. I was looking to get more active. It came up, I think it was on social media I saw it. I went along to my first session. I was nervous going into it, but plucked up the courage and got out of my car and took that first step. And I was made to feel comfortable straight away. There was no pressure. I didn't feel judged. And I felt like if I couldn't do something, that wasn't an issue. Everything was tailored towards what you could do, what you felt comfortable doing. And yeah, that made me feel really great and hooked me in to keep coming back. So now Soccer Mums is just part of our life now. I get out of bed and I'm looking forward to being there. Saturday morning is me time and I love it.
There are some key parts of the experience to look for and ask people about. We call them touchpoints. Touchpoints are the key moments where your participant connects with your club. It's the moments when they think, yes, this is the place I want to be, or not. They are moments that can build confidence in people. You may want to map out and identify the touchpoints of someone's experience at your club to guide your thinking. We have identified these 5 key moments that come up time and time again when we talk to people about community sport and what is important to them about their experience. The marketing, the registration, the welcome, correcting mistakes, and the invitation to return. To give you an example of how these touch points work, I'm going to introduce you to Amy.
I'd been looking at joining a football team for years and it just never really came to fruition. So, I'd sent a few inquiries off to different teams, but they either just, didn't get back to me, or by the time they did, it was kind of like, nah, should I do it? Do I have the time? Do I really want to do it? And then I let it go for a little while, and I saw an ad come up for the Frankston Dolphins. And it really seemed like it was targeting all skill levels. So I thought, hey, I'll send an inquiry, see where this goes. And I got a response straight away. And it was like, come on down, we want you, please. they're like, we've got a training, you know, I think I sent the inquiry on a Friday and the first training was on the Monday. They're like, come down, like, you're in. So I was like, oh, okay. So, you know, I was like, oh, okay, let's go try it out and see what it's about.
Okay, let's look at Touchpoint 1, marketing. This is important because it's the first interaction that people will have with your club. This is their first opportunity to think, yes, that is somewhere I want to play. Think about what your participants need to hear to get them over their barriers. Messages of welcome and making sure that they know that there are opportunities for everyone to play at your club. Think about what Amy had to say. She had seen a lot of different ads for football teams, but it was the Dolphins ad that she really believed that they would welcome someone new. She was able to shift from her indecisiveness and build her confidence to think, oh yeah, this sounds like the place for me. Amy also said that she had called a few clubs and they hadn't called her back. So make sure that the person who is on the marketing is the right person that has time to connect with people and answer questions. In marketing, what we know for sure is that the more someone can see themselves playing sport at your club in their mind, the more likely they will be to give it a go. So to do this, include quotes or stories about people who have joined your club and make sure that these stories and the images that you use in your marketing are relatable. Touchpoint 2 is the registration and information that goes out to people before they come to your club. This is when someone is deciding if this is something they can do or not, and when people are going to be afraid of the unknown. They are wondering, what is going to happen when I get to the club? Who is going to talk to me? Will I know where to go? Will I know what to do? Will I be wearing the right thing? For those returning to clubs after COVID, this touchpoint could be the most important, as all these fears may be enhanced. So practical information on new protocols will be important, but so will messages that can reduce the fear of doing the wrong thing. This may be something like saying, we're all in this together. The club is keen to get people back together in a safe way, but we are all learning about what is the new normal together. Try to use messages to promote that sense of belonging. In general, the more you can explain and show people what the experience is going to be like, the more they will be able to see themselves doing it and the greater their confidence will be. Written information is good, photos are great, but even better is videos. So if you can have a video introducing the people at your club and showing them around the club, that would be even better. The topics to include is everything from the logistics of how to get to your club, where to park, which door to walk in, to telling them what to wear, where they can get changed, and if there are places for the family to come as well. Then giving them a rundown of the timing of their first session. So you can say that the training will start at 7, but you can get there 15 minutes early for a club tour. You could also tell them about what will happen in the session. So in this first session, we will be getting to know each other, learning about the equipment and doing some warm-up activities. This kind of messaging reduces the fear that people have to perform on their first day. The more someone can see in their mind what is going to happen and think that they can do it, the greater their confidence grows. Again, let's reiterate that social element. If you can have a photo or even better a video to introduce people to the club welcomer, that is the person that they will first see when they get there and who can answer their questions, and also introduce them to the deliverer or the coach. This will build confidence in the social connection between your new participants.
I remember I walked into the footy club and there was a few people in the rooms that were sort of getting set up, and one of them was the coach. And he literally, he embraced me like I'd known him for 10 years. He's like, oh, hey, how you going? Yeah, thanks for coming down. I'm Longy, you know, welcome. Introduced me to a few of the girls. And it was just like I'd been there for for years. Straight away, they just, you know, come and grab a football, let's kick the football. You know, just chatting away, including me in, you know, everything. And yeah, it was just a really good atmosphere. As soon as you walked into the club, it was just like, yep, you're in.
The third touch point is the welcome. This is so important. Everything you have promised me in the advert, is it real? When I get to your club, how am I going to feel? There should be someone in your club that is designated as a welcomer, someone that won't be too busy doing other things. Their one job is to welcome people and be that point of contact if they have any questions at any time. Think about how Amy was so happy to be welcomed in that club at Frankston. On the first day, have a welcomer in the car park or as close to the car park as possible. And this may sound crazy, but the moment that someone parks their car and has to make the decision to actually get out and go inside is actually the scariest moment of all. It's the moment all their fears and nerves really take hold. We've heard so many stories about people who get to a club and then are too scared and don't get out of the car, and instead they drive away and they never come back. If you have someone with a smile to greet people as they come into your club, when their first impression is going to be one of welcome. After that, it is really about making sure that people make social connections within the club. This means introducing people to each other, get conversations going, and the welcome person can help with that.
I was really nervous. I was very nervous, I guess, just thinking about whether or not I would be in the same. I know I wasn't in the same shape. I wasn't physically, so I was a bit nervous about my ability. And there were a lot of people that were doing kind of the trials for this club, so I was thinking about, am I going to be able to perform to I guess a standard that I was happy with. It wasn't necessarily about them and how they felt I went. It was more about me and, if I felt like I was back to my old self or not. And I have to tell you, my first training session was horrendous. It was absolutely horrible. For me, from my perspective, I fell over. I just couldn't, I was not coordinated whatsoever. I just felt like, oh my gosh, what's happened to me?
Yeah.
And, that was a really important moment because I could have just given up very, very easily and just been like, nah, not for me. And, I'm not ready. But again, the coordinators at the club were just fantastic. And they were really encouraging, like, no, what are you talking about? You did really, really well. Come back, you'll just get better. We're going at your pace. You don't have to push yourself. Do what you can, and that's it. So, yeah, that was a really, really important thing for me, that they were encouraging. And
Touch point 3, making mistakes. After the car park, this is the second most common moment that people mention, the moment that they make mistakes when playing. Think about Amy. She was falling over at the netball practice and felt like she did terrible, but the coaches encouraged her and made her feel comfortable, so she stayed. Others tell us how they felt so pressured when they make mistakes that it took all the enjoyment out of playing sport, and so they quit. This is especially true for youth, but over and over we hear how these experiences when young affect people when they go to play sport as an adult. So think about what happens when people make mistakes at your club. How do deliverers react? How do spectators react? And how do other participants react? Try to make sure that people feel supported and not persecuted. The final touch point is the invitation back. This seems really simple, but it's a key moment. That is often overlooked because people get busy. At the end of sessions, make sure someone has invited the participants back to the club, perhaps given them some positive feedback, checked in that they had a good time, and used this as an opportunity to get feedback on how things are going. A follow-up text or email after the first session would really enforce the social connection and provide people with an opportunity to ask questions if they need. Don't leave it to a Facebook group because many people may just not feel confident to ask questions on there yet. During the shutdown, clubs have been amazing at finding innovative ways to keep people connected using social media and other means. Keep these going if you can. Any way that you can promote the social connection at your club will help people to feel like they belong.
Yeah, I mean, for me, and something that I always will remember is, I think it was my second or third game. We were playing at our home ground, and, we didn't get a big crowd for this. It was, family and friends sometimes. But I just remember I was on the field chasing down someone that had the ball, and I was running past our bench, and everyone was just cheering for me. And it was the best feeling in the world. It was just, it pushed me to go so much further, and it just really felt like freedom, like I just was in the right place doing the right thing. And for me, I'll always remember that moment because it was just like, yes, this is what I should be doing.
Principle 2 is to start thinking about the total experience. It's not just about the sport activity itself. The most important point is to always be thinking about the social element and people connecting. Do they feel like they belong? The second point is to identify the touch points. Engage people, talk to them, ask questions, get feedback. Third, to reduce people's fears and build their confidence, you need to paint them a picture of what is going to happen. Give them all the information that they need so that the fear of the unknown is taken away. And finally, let people make mistakes in a supportive environment. This is especially true for kids, but it affects adults as well, and especially those coming back to sport. Thanks for listening to our webinar today. If you would like any more support on how you can build confidence in your club or engage different types of people, you could go to the VicHealth Doing Sport Differently website, where you can find case studies of how clubs have implemented new programs into their clubs. Or you could go to the Centre for Sport and Social Impact LinkedIn website, or send us an email, or you could go to the Vicsport website. Thanks again.